What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto neglected by family and ANBU captain? If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. It was a bright day for the whole village because their beloved 4th Hokage had his first child. His name was Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. The day he was born all the villagers were cheering. Time skip 4 years later. The 4-year-old boy was running throughout the house finding for his mother and father because today his father told him this was an important day because his godfather was coming today. He was excited that his godfather was the Toad Sanin, but he felt nervous because this was his first time meeting his godfather. He entered the living room and saw a white-haired man who was trying to hide his wrinkles with his hair, but he didn't comment about it. He ran to his mother and father and sat on his father's lap, who was smiling at the antics of his son. Then Minato started, "Naruto, this your godfather Jiraiya. He was on long trip for years because of his mission." Naruto nodded and turned to face his godfather, who grinning at him. Then suddenly he was engulfed in a hug by his godfather. Naruto said in huffled voice, "You are crushing me." Then Jiraiya heard it and immediately let him out of his grip. He turned to his student and said, "Well Minato, you got yourself a good son and me a nice godson." Minato ruffled the back of his hair and said, "Thank you sensei," but was cut out when Naruto pointed at Jiraiya and, "I heard you are strong, so please train me. My mother and father told me that I was too young to train." Naruto hit it at his head by Kushina and she said, "Naruto, I told you are not getting any training until you are 6. Jiraiya laughed at the antics of mother and son, then he said, "Well, I can't train you right now, but I can give scroll on how to unlock your chakra and chakra control exercises." Then he was engulfed by a hug by his godson and he patted on his head. "I can do this much because I missed your 4 birthdays." Naruto was too excited to unlock his chakra, so he asked his father's help to unlock his chakra. His dad responded, "Gomen Naruto, I have a lot of paperwork," and left. Naruto pouted, but he did not ask his mother because he knows it if he asked his mother for help then she would be mad, and he have seen in his father face was full of fear, so he no not mess with her and obey her orders. Naruto sneakily walked out of his home and ran outside, but he bumped into Lord Third, but he loved to call him Gigi. Hiruzen stretched his hand to lift Naruto of ground. Then he asked, "Where are you going Naruto?" Naruto smiled at the old man and said, "Gigi, I was going to an open field to unlock my chakra," he said with a grin. Hiruzen raised his eyebrow and asked Naruto, "Where are your parents? I don't see them." Naruto scratched the back of his head and said, "Dad had a lot of paperwork to do and my mother told me she will help me train when I am 6. Hiruzen then chuckled and said that he can help unlock his chakra. Then his Gigi gripped his shoulder and shunshined and went to a normal training ground. When he reached it he turned towards his Gigi and said, "Wow. Gigi, you are so awesome. When I unlock my chakra, can you teach me?" Hiruzen chuckled and said, "Naruto, you are too young, but when you get older I will teach it to you." Naruto pouted, but it quickly faded away and opened the scroll that his godfather had give him and started to read it. After few minutes he sat at meditative position and started to focus. He felt a pull in his stomach. He tried to pull it out, but it was very hard for his body. Then Naruto thought that it is his body, so he can order it loosen it. Then a burst of chakra came out of Naruto. It was so dense and large that ground beneath him cracked a little. Hiruzen's eyes widened. He watched his Pseudo grandson. He compared this chakra with his sensei Hashirama. Then it died down and Naruto stand there panting. He fall on his butt and he drifted in sleep. Time skip 1 later. It was 5 and a certain blonde opened his eyes and his eyes traveled to alarm clock beside his reading table. He looked at the ceiling of his room and remember what his mother and father had told him yesterday. Flashback. "Naruto, we have something to tell you, come down fast." His mother voice came from downstairs. When he get down he saw his mother and father smiling at each other. Their gaze then shifted towards their child and smiled brightly at him. "Naruto, we got a good news today from the hospital." Naruto nodded and allowing father to continue. "The good news is that you're going to be a big brother." Naruto was happy at this information and he was jumping around back and forth. Then stopped and looked at his father and told, "I will make sure that I am strong enough to protect my younger siblings and precious person," with a voice filled with determination. End of the flashback. He got out of the bed and headed towards his bathroom and took a good nice shower of 20 minutes. He then put on his clothes, which was a black jacket which was opened, which had blue strips on it, and a fishnet shirt beneath it. His pants were normal ANBU pants. Then he grinned at the mirror and took of his room's window, but not before he make a shadow clone, and then took of to the Sarutobi compound to continue his training. Flashback. When Naruto unlocked his chakra and fell into sleep, Hiruzen then quickly shook head to get rid of his thoughts right now. He then picked up Naruto and placed him under the shed of the tree and began to wait for Naruto to wake up. After 30 minutes, Naruto began to wake up and check his surroundings. He was not in home, but then all of the memories came back. He looked to find his Gigi. He found him sitting above on tree branch. Hiruzen then jumped out of the tree and landed gracefully. He then handed a leaf to Naruto. Look at him confusingly. Hiruzen began to speak, "Congratulations Naruto on unlocking your chakra. But the difficult part comes now." Then Hiruzen pressed the leaf at his forehead. Then Naruto looked in awe as he looked at the leaf, which is not falling, of the old man. Then Hiruzen spoke, "Naruto, you have to master your chakra control exercise. Chakra control is the most important thing to every ninja. If can't master your chakra, you pretty much cannot use any just you." Naruto nodded and he fist pumped at the air and he shouted, "I will master the chakra control exercise in no time." Hiruzen chuckled at this and then pointed towards the leaf that Naruto had. Naruto began to control his chakra. It him 6 tries and at the 7th try he mastered it. Hiruzen was shocked at first but then turned it into a smile. He looked at the blonde boy running through the field with leaf still stick to his head. After that day Hiruzen took Naruto to master his chakra control. It took 3 months to master all the chakra control. Hiruzen looked at his grandson proudly and he made his decision to train Naruto to be strong, so thrice a week he would bring Naruto to the Sarutobi compound and began to teach him shuriken jutsu and basic techniques of academy. It took 3 months to master shuriken jutsu and 3 months to master all the jutsu of the academy. It took this much time to master because he wanted no hand seals to do this jutsu. He was also stuck at clone jutsu for half a month because he could not do it, so Hiruzen taught him shadow clone jutsu. It took half a month to completely master the jutsu without hand signs. After that Naruto began to learn calligraphy because he heard it from his Gigi that his mother and father are best at fuinjutsu and he had to start with this. He took interest in it, so he began to his training. While his parents would not even care to look for him because his father was busy with his paperwork and his mother would spend her time with friends. End of the flashback. He was going to the compound to meet his Gigi because he told Naruto that he would his taijutsu training. He was excited. It was October 10th. Today was the day that everyone waited for because their beloved 4th Hokage was going to have twins. But they didn't know that today most of the people were going to lose their loved ones. At an unknown location, screams of a woman could be heard throughout the cave. This woman was none other than Kushina. She was delivering her twins. Then a cry of 2 baby could be heard. Their names were Menma Uzumaki Namikaze and Naruko Uzumaki Namikaze. Then it was intertwined by a masked man who killed the 3rd Hokage wife Bawako Sarutobi. He took the Hokage twins and he said in monotone voice, "4th Hokage, step away from the Jinchuriki and I might let your twins live." Minato stepped away from Kushina, but the masked man threw the child upwards and ready to stab him. Minato saved Menma and Naruko and flash away. After some time there was a big 9-tailed fox causing havoc in the village. Naruto was watching this from his bedroom. Then suddenly his father flashed into the room and said, "Naruto, we need your help. Your mother is in too much pain to hold the Kyuubi back and your siblings are too young to hold back the beast. So I decided you have make sacrifice for the village." Minato said in a sad voice because he knows after today the village would hate the fox and its Jinchuriki. But it had to be done. Naruto was now standing in front of the fox and staring at him. Then he noticed the fox struggling to move its body. After some time it stopped because of his mother's chakra chains. Then Minato used a normal yet powerful seal to seal the fox inside his eldest son. It growled and struggled, but all in vain as he was sealed inside Naruto. Naruto passed out from the pain he felt from Kurama being sealed inside of him. After the Kyuubi attack, the village took huge blow. Most of their Jonin were killed. At the hospital, Naruto slowly opened his eyes but quickly closed it because of the light in the room, but quickly adjusted to it. He then saw that his Gigi is sitting beside the door. When Hiruzen saw Naruto open his eyes, he quickly rushed to him. Hiruzen asked Naruto, "How is he doing? Are you hurt?" Yada yada. When Naruto got dispatched from the hospital and going back home, he saw a short boy with black t-shirt and gray pants, and at back of shirt Uchiha symbol was engraved on it. He was going to training ground 6. Then Naruto asked Hiruzen that, can he come home after some time? Hiruzen for few minutes thought but told that he will come back in 1 hour. He accepted and went up to see what that Uchiha is gonna do. When he reached there, he saw the boy throwing kunai at the board and he got 9 out of 10. He then suddenly asked Naruto to come out. He asked, "Who are you and why are you watching me?" Naruto said, "My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze and I was watching you because I wanted to see how skilled are you." Itachi Uchiha. After Naruto met Itachi, they became best friends. Itachi often came to Namikaze household either by Naruto to train and play or by Mikoto to meet Kushina. Namikaze household. Naruto opened his eyes and turned off his alarm. He got out of the bed and went to the bathroom to take a bath. After that he wore his usual gear and headed up to academy because today was his first day. After reaching academy he entered his classroom. He went to an empty seat and sat there. He saw there 2 girls and 2 boys chatting. Their gaze landed on Naruto. They came to him and asked, "You're Naruto, right?" A girl with purple hair asked. Naruto nodded and they asked, "Wanna be friends? We don't mind more company." The boy said with a senbon in his mouth, "My name is Genma Shirunai." He is, pointing at Hayate Gecko. "And she is Yugo Izuki and she is Anko Mitarashi," Genma stated. Naruto nodded and all started chatting like how would they become a great ninja. How they would do cool flashy moves and how would they awesome missions yada yada. Then their homeroom teacher came and began to teach them. The whole day went like that, teaching them about the history of the Konoha. The bell rang and they all left. After that day onwards Naruto knew that in the academy there was nothing new to teach him because his Jiji has already taught him this, so he always sent a shadow clone to academy and went to the Sarutobi compound to continue his training on his taijutsu with his Jiji. The classroom teacher of the first year was astonished when he watched these 3 students of his class acing everything given to them. These 3 students were Itachi Uchiha, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze and Yugo Izuki. After watching this the teacher realized that these 3 are prodigy, so the academy teacher went to the 4th Hokage and requested him to let these 3 take the genin exams. The 4th thought for a bit and looked at the reports of Itachi, Naruto and Yugo, then he agreed. The instructor bowed and left. The next day Naruto, Itachi and Yugo got the news that they are allowed to take the genin exams another day. They were excited was an understatement. The next day when they reached the academy they began their genin exams. First was the shuriken and kunai throwing and both Naruto and Itachi got 10 out of 10. Yugo got 9 out of 10. At taijutsu sparring it was Naruto was paired with Itachi. Naruto got on his fox fist stances and Itachi got on his inceptor fist stances. Naruto threw a punch at Itachi torso but he sidestepped it. He counter-attacked with his legs going at Naruto's forehead but he blocked it. They both went at it but Naruto got an opening and he used it to pin Itachi to the ground. Itachi gave up and Naruto got the victory. Yugo was paired with a teacher because there no one else to take the exams, but the Chunin went a little easy on her but she was good at it. Then at the ninjutsu test first was clones and Itachi made 3 normal clones. Yugo made 2 normal clones and Naruto made 4 shadow clones. The academy teacher was shocked but he shook his head and told them to do the substitution jutsu. Naruto, Itachi and Yugo did it with ease. Then they did the transformation jutsu and Itachi transformed into his father. Yugo transformed into 4th Hokage and Naruto transformed into his mother. They all got their headband easily and wore it around their forehead with proud. They went outside the academy and Naruto watched that Itachi's family and Yugo's father and grandfather was there to congratulate them. Naruto was a little heartbroken because his parents never came to him to congratulate him for passing the exams, but he thought that his father was busy with paperwork and his mother with his 2 younger siblings. After that Itachi family went away and Yugo's family and me went to the barbecue restaurant to celebrate for passing their genin exams. The next day the 3 new genins reached academy roof to meet their sensei. They got there at 8:30 and their sensei got 5 minutes after. They all sat at the stairs and their sensei sat at the railing and he started, "Hello, I am your Jonin sensei Shikaku Nara. Tell me your name, likes, dislikes, hobbies and dream. Shikaku, now named Jonin-sensei, said. Sensei, can you show us how to do it? Asked Yugo. Shikaku muttered troublesome and started. My name is Shikaku Nara. My likes are sleeping and watching clouds. My dislike are troublesome women's. Yugo eye was twitching and Itachi and Naruto began law out loud. Shikaku continued. My hobbies are my likes and my dream. I have not thought of it. Now you purple. My name is Yugo Izuki, not purple. My likes are my friends, my family and training. My dislikes are rapist and perverts. My hobbies are enjoying my time with my friends and training, and my dream is to become a ANBU head captain. Yugo ended. Shikaku nodded and motioned Itachi to continue. He nodded and started. My name is Itachi Uchiha. My likes are tomato, my friends and family and training. My dislikes are rapist, perverts, and my hobbies are spending my time with my friends and family and training. My dream, I have not thought about it. Itachi ended. Shikaku nodded again and moitoned Naruto to start. Naruto started. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. My likes are my friends, my family and training. My dislikes are rapist and perverts. My hobbies are same as Itachi, and my dream is to become the strongest ninja in the whole ninja world. Naruto ended, but Shikaku said, it's a pretty big goal, you have to work a lot hard to achieve it. Naruto nodded. Shikaku started again. Originally there would be a test to determine if you all would be a genin team, but I am too lazy for it, so I will see your skills and take 2 of you and other one will go back to academy. He was cut off by Yugo. You can't do that, we have to take a test, not this. I cannot leave my friends behind me for my selfish reasons, sorry sensei, but I will like to go back to the academy and wait for the right sensei. Yugo said. Means less work for me. Shikaku shrugged and Yugo started to walk towards the exit but stopped when she heard both Naruto and Itachi said, stop. While Shikaku Yugo were talking, both Itachi and Naruto was listening with closed eyes. Both Itachi and Naruto opened their eyes and stared at Shikaku and both said in unison, we also can't leave our friend and teammate behind. After they also started to go towards the exit but was stopped again when they heard Shikaku said, stop, you all pass. The 3 of them turned and stared at Shikaku with confused eyes and got back to their seats. As you know, Konoha is the strongest shinobi village because its priorities are teamwork, that is why they are at the top, so there is a test for new genin teams to see if they would work as a team and you all passed it. Now you're officially Team 7. Tomorrow we will start our first mission, so be at the Hokage Tower at 8 AM, don't be late. He said and puffed out of there. The 3 genins groaned and went back to their homes. Flashback. When Naruto was 6 and training with Kakashi Senpai in forest. Naruto was versing Kakashi in a taijutsu battle when Kakashi hit him with enough force to push him through a tree and knock him unconscious. Kakashi was scratching the back of his head and chuckling nervously. He then picked up Naruto and body flickered to the hospital to check if he is hurt. Meanwhile, in Naruto's mindscape, Naruto opened his eyes slowly and checked his surroundings and saw he was in some sewer. He is thinking, how did he get here? Last he remember, he was sparring with Kakashi Senpai. He shook his head and started to walk towards the path that was there. He was hoping to find SN exit but ended up on a big room which had a cage, and on the bars there was a page, on it was written seal. Naruto was confused as for where he was. Then 2 giant red eyes opened behind the cage and a warm breath Isak ped the cage and reached Naruto, and the thing started to speak. So finally my jailer have come here to visit me, though I was thinking you would come here when you were older, said the voice, and it finally revealed itself to be the Kyuubi, the kitsune. Naruto connected the dots. SND, he understood that he is in his mindscape and the Kyuubi was sealed in him. Naruto was a little scared but he didn't show it and stared at the fox and asked, the people say the tailed beast are mindless monster, but if you can speak then you must have a mind, so tell me Kyuubi, why did you attack the village? Is it because the first Hokage captured you? Or is it that you were sealed in her wife and my mother? Kyuubi growled a little and started. I am not obliged to tell you anything, but I will tell you anyways. I did not attack the village at my own will. There was a masked man and he had that damned eye, the Sharingan, and he pulled me out of your mother and put me under a genjutsu and told me to attack the village. By the time I regained my consciousness I was being sealed inside you. Kyuubi ended and Naruto nodded at the story. Okay, I understand you. I know that you're a being made out the chakra, that is why you cannot be killed, so how did you came to this planet? Naruto asked the Kyuubi and it was surprised but said, "I will not tell you anything about how came here, you have to earn my trust to get the answer," it stated. Naruto nodded and asked another question. "If you can speak and you have a mind and however you came to this planet you must lived have through centuries, so let me ask you, do you have a name?" Kyuubi was dumbfounded at this boy who is 6 years old is asking these questions. This was the first human to ask his name and how he came here. Kyuubi started although he was still shocked. "You're the first ever human to ask this question. I may ask, why did you think that I may have a name?" It asked, and Naruto answered it by saying, "I can see you have a mind and you lived through the centuries and you must know that everything that can talk have a name, that is why I asked you, or you like to be called Kyuubi." Kyuubi nodded and started. "I have a name and I don't like being called Kyuubi. Originally I would never ever give my name to a human, but you're the only human who asked my name and how was I made so, but I will oblige it for now. My name is Kurama and I was made by Hagoromo Otsutsuki, also known as Sage of the Six Paths. I was made from a being called 10 Tails. I will tell you a story about it. Many centuries ago there came a meteor from somewhere. In that meteor was a lady named Kaguya Otsutsuki. She came at a time where the humanity was always at war. She was fed up with this and she heard there was a very big tree also known as God Tree. It was rumors that there was a fruit being made and if any eats that can become God. After hearing that, she headed there and reached there and ate the fruit. The fruit was also known as chakra fruit. After she ate it she got the powers of the god and she got all bloodlines in the world and ended the war single-handedly. After that she was known as the rabbit goddess and she two child Hagoromo and Hamura Otsutsuki. While they were growing up the god tree became a monster with 10 tails behind it. It was causing destruction, searching for Kaguya as she ate his chakra fruit. After seeing this, Hagoromo and Hamura decided that they would stop this. After defeating the 10 tails, Hagoromo decided to split it 9 parts, which was as the bijus. There left was a statue bigger than me. It was the ghetto statue. If it absorbs bijus it would reawaken the 10 tails, and Hagoromo and Hamura knew it, so Hagoromo sealed it in the summoning realm and it can only be summoned by Rinnegan. The left chakra was disturbed to the world and this how chakra came to be. Kurama ended. Naruto nodded, he understood all the things though he was tired. After that Naruto asked, "That's great Kurama, I am feeling tired so I will go by." He was cut off by Kurama saying that he needs to fist bump with him to talk with him anytime without coming to Mindscape. Plus I have to give 3 things. The first 2 are from me but the third one is from you, but I am unlocking it for you, it is the Mokuton. The other 2 you have to figure out yourself. Naruto was dumbfounded that he had first Hokage's Mokuton ability but quickly bumped fist with Kurama and left saying goodbye. While Naruto was talking with Kurama, Kakashi took him to the hospital to check if he was okay. After some minor tests the result was that he is just unconscious. Then Kakashi took him to his sensei's house and took him to his room from the window because he knew how his sensei and Kushina was neglecting him for Menma and Naruto. He placed him under his covers and body flickered out of there. Back to Naruto. He opened his eyes at his bedroom and asked, "How did I get here? Last I remember is that I was sparring with Kakashi-senpai? Kakashi brought you here after he knocked you unconscious while sparring," said Kurama. Naruto nodded, understanding what Kurama was saying. Then he looked at his wall clock, seeing that it is 9 a.m. so he got up from the bed and did his morning routines and got ready. Then he created a shadow clone and gave him more than enough chakra to last for few hours. He sent his shadow clone to go at the academy while he go to his Gigi for his training because his father and mother are busy playing with his younger siblings. Flashback the last week. When he saw his dad make a shadow clone and saw it flash away, he thought that finally today his father was gonna train him, but when he asked his dad he said, "Sorry Naruto, I am busy." Then he saw them playing with his siblings. He felt heartbroken because when he was 4 his dad was always at the Hokage tower doing paperwork and not playing with him. But he composed himself and told that his dad must have been tired from paperwork and sent a shadow clone to do it for today. It was proven wrong when Minato always sent a shadow clone once a week to do the pending work for him while he played with his younger siblings. After that he never ever tried to ask his mother and father. Flashback end. When Naruto reached the Sarutobi compound and saw his Gigi, he rushed at him and tackled him down while hugging him while sniffling. Hiruzen patted his head and asked, "What happened Naruto?" Naruto then told him how his parents are neglecting him and his training and playing with his siblings almost every day. Hiruzen was mad but didn't show it. Then he said, I can train but it's gonna be difficult for your age. Then he saw the determination in Naruto's eyes. But then Hiruzen asked Naruto, why are you not at the academy? It is also important. Naruto rubbed the back of his head and chuckled nervously and said, Gigi, the academy was boring and all the things they were teaching I know it already, but I sent a shadow clone there because when it pops I receive the memories. Hiruzen nodded at this and smiled at Naruto for figuring out the secret of shadow clones. Then it is decided you will come tomorrow here at 5 AM and we will begin your training. Naruto nodded and left the compound. Next day, Naruto reached the compound and saw his Gigi at the training field of the compound. He was in his battle gear. Hiruzen saw him and started, Naruto, from now on you will call me sensei, came in a loud and stern voice. Naruto nodded, then he continued, from now on your training regimen for half a month is doing 5 rounds around the Konoha, then 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups. Then I will check your elements and give you ninjutsu according to that. Is that clear? Hi sensei. Before you start you wear these weights of 25 pounds in each limbs every day, then start. After wearing the weights Naruto could not run or move around, but he still did all the things his sensei told. It took him 2 hours to do it. After that he took 15 minutes break and his sensei came to him with a chakra paper in hand. Naruto, this is chakra paper, it shows your affinities, you have to pour your chakra to see the affinities. Usually many shinobi have only one chakra nature, but some shinobi have more than one chakra natures, but is extremely rare. But you can use all the natures, but you have to put more effort and chakra to do it. If cut in half you have wind, if it's soaked then you have water, if it crumbles to dirt you have earth, if it crinkles up then you have lightning, and finally if it burns you have fire. These are the 5 chakra natures. Quote, Naruto nodded and took the paper and poured some chakra, and the results made both Hiruzen and Naruto's mind blown. The paper divided into 3 parts, the first soaked up, second crumbled to dirt, and the third crinkled up. Naruto looked in shock but then shouted, I am the best. I have 4 chakra natures. Hiruzen nodded and smiled and gave him 4 scroll in each. There are different nature ninjutsu. Naruto took the scroll and started reading the first scroll. It was wind style, gale palm. Then Naruto made 10 shadow clones for this and gave them the scroll P and told, you all practice this and dispel one by one. All the clones nodded and took the scroll and moved aside. The second scroll was water style, water bullet. He make again 10 shadow clones and gave them the same instructions. The third was earth style, mud wall. He did the same with making another 10 shadow clones and gave them instructions. The fourth was lightning STLYE, lightning clone. He did the same with clones. Then he sat down and started talking with Kurama for his taijutsu style, and he decided that he will learn the fox fist style. Throughout the year Naruto was doing his physical workout and taijutsu and ninjutsu training. He was doing best at ninjutsu because he had nearly perfect chakra control. He was unsure whether to tell his Gigi about having Mokuton, but decided against it and told him first. Hiruzen refused it, but when Naruto showed that he bloomed a flower in the palm of his hand he had to believe it. Naruto requested his Gigi to keep this a secret from his father and mother because he wanted to do prize them at Chunin exams and make them in the village proud. Hiruzen accepted the request and kept it a secret but gave him scrolls on it because he wanted Naruto to be strong. Naruto learned wood style, wood clone. He learned it was because it can stay a long time. Abed could take more damage than a shadow clone. Next is wood style, tree wall barrier, wood style, 4-pillar prison, and last wood style, mayfly. He also learned some other jutsu like earth style, headhunter jutsu, and earth style, spike terrain. In water style he learned water style, water shuriken, and water style, water shield. In wind style he learned wind style, wind bullet, and wind style, great breakthrough. In lightning style he learned lightning style, lightning bolt, and lightning style, lightning magnet. Plus he is working on a just you that he created his own. You might ask, how can he learn this many jutsu in a year? The reason is nearly perfect chakra control and shadow clones, so don't ask in the comments why I am making so op. Back to present. The next day when Team 7 met, Yugo was rambling about how they would get an assassination or guarding an important person mission. Shikaku was amused seeing that because he knew what was coming. What? Came the voice from the Hokage tower. This voice belonged to Yugo. She was devastated at the mission given to them. It was catching a cat, and Shikaku said that they had to D-rank mission for a month or they had to do 100 missions. Naruto patted Yugo on the back and said, "We can do this, Yugo, and I can use shadow clones to do it fast." After hearing this, she was so happy that she was not thinking what she was doing and hugged him tightly. Naruto was stunned and stuttered, why Yugo ww what are why you doing?" Yugo got back and blushed. "Don't think too much of it." While this was going on, everybody was watching in amusement. Then they got the mission and went out. It took them 15 days to complete 100 D ranks. It was torture for the kids, but they kept saying to themselves, only few days to go and we can escape this torture. The day they finished their 100th D rank, they immediately went to the Hokage Tower and gave him report and asked for a C rank because they can't get higher missions unless they are Chunins or complete a lot of missions, which they didn't. After checking the report, Minato agreed to give them a C rank, but he said, "Shikaku, you have to stay back the village because we have to discuss about Orochimaru and things, so Team 7 you will have special Jonin to assist you at the C rank. Is it clear?" They nodded. This is special Jonin like Ebisu, but he not Ebisu, so don't be confused. I will call him Roshi. They all took the scroll and read there is a bandit group near Tanazuka town and they all looting all the merchandiser and traders. They have to stop and kill them, and the rumors are they are abducting some women's. After reading the scroll they were little angry, but they calmed down and nodded and went to pack things for 2 to 3 week trip. They got their first kill, that is why they are not reacting on the word kill, and here is the story. Flashback. When they were doing their D ranks, Shikaku already knew that they would be fall in depression at their first kill, so he decided that he will take matter in his own hands. When they were going home after completing their D rank for the day, they came back after hearing their sensei calling them back. He handed them 3 baby birds and it looked very cute. He said, "You have to kill the bird or else you would have to D rank for the rest of the year," in a firm tone that left no room for arguing. They were hesitant at first looking at how cute it was, but they heavy-heartedly kill it. Flashback end. Team 7 met at the gate. Roshi saw them and started, "If we do this nicely we might come back early than usual." With that said, we all set out. We reached towards the usual location that the bandits are looting all the merchandiser and traders. They were passing through the road and Naruto sensed someone in the trees. He threw at one of the men that were there. The man fall down dead when the group of bandits saw this and started to fall back to their base. They chased after them but silently to not to alert them that they are being followed. By the time they reached, it was night time. They saw camp in which there almost 300 to 350 bandits. Roshi was shocked and said, "This mission just bumped to an A-rank mission. According to the village rules we have to go back to the village, but you all are also ninjas, so your opinion matters whether or not you want to continue or not." We all were starting to think, but all got to the conclusion that they were willingly. After that, the next week they were scanning in and out of the camp. The next night they executed their plan. Naruto's shadow clone transformed into the man that was guarding the gate and substituted himself. The group killed the guards at the gate like that and they entered the compound. After entering, they silently started killing the bandits and got to the building where the bandits kept the women's. After entering the room, they saw how the women's were locked up in cage and most of their clothes torn. They started from age 7 till 45 or 50. They all were disgusted by the bandits and don't felt pity for killing them. After seeing the group, the women started shouting that won't be their slave anymore, and this alerted the bandits. Roshi thought, shit, they found we're here. I will hold them while they can escort the women's out of here. He told the team the plan. They were hesitant. But seeing the look on Roshi, they were sure that there no room for argument. They reluctantly nodded, but Naruto said, "After the women's are safe we come for you, sensei." Roshi nodded and the evacuation began. By the time Team 7 were done and reached the camp, the most of the bandits were dead, but who remained they killed them. They were searching for Roshi until they came upon the sight, which shocked them. Roshi was handling himself well but didn't see the attack coming from the back and he was stabbed from the back at heart. Naruto was rushed at Roshi and killed the man on the way, which killed Roshi. Naruto's eyes started to burn. He was screaming for 2 reasons. First, that Roshi was dead, and second, that his eyes was burning. Then he heard a voice that he recognized as Itachi and he was saying, "Behind you." Naruto, what happening? But he held his arm out and said in a low voice, "Almighty push." After this, the whole bandits that were around was sent back sailing and were crushed immediately to death. Itachi saw Naruto in surprise and saw something strange. His eyes were no longer blue, it was purple in color and rings in it and have one tomo in each ring of his eye. He guessed that Naruto awakened a new dojutsu but didn't know what was it. But quickly shook that thoughts of and asked Naruto was he alright. Naruto just nodded and said, although we have completed the mission we did lost our companion, let's go back to the camp and rest. Then next day we will return to Konoha. Itachi nodded but asked, Naruto, what happened to your eyes? It is purple and have rings in it, you have a tomo. Naruto was also shocked but said, even I also don't know what it is, we might get our answers when we got back home and give report. Naruto then got up and started to move with Itachi to find Yugo and tell the plan. While this was going on he was talking with Kurama. He asked, Kurama, what happened to my eyes? Brat, you unlocked your second gift, that is Rinnegan. These eyes are of my father Sage of Six Paths. This a rare dojutsu and its other name is God Eyes. It have 6 abilities that we will start training on when we reached Konoha. Plus keep it a secret for now because you're very young to handle shinobis. Naruto nodded but asked, if it was a gift then why it didn't awaken when we met? Plus how could I deactivate it? Every dojutsu is activated when the user go through emotional pain. That is why it activated now. And for the second question, it might work or might not. Stop channeling chakra into your eyes and it might work, or you might have put on a very high genjutsu. Naruto nodded but hoped that it might deactivate by stop channeling chakra into his eyes because he is weak at genjutsu. He stopped channeling chakra and it worked. Itachi asked Naruto how did he deactivate it. He told that he will tell him tomorrow. Then they reached Yugo and told them that Roshi is dead and that they have to go Konoha back tomorrow morning and report the Hokage what have happened. Yugo was stunned that in their first C rank they have lost someone but nodded nonetheless. Next day while they were going back to Konoha, Naruto pulled Itachi aside and told, Itachi, the last day you saw the dojutsu named Rinnegan. I don't know the abilities but can you please keep it a secret because it is a new dojutsu and many would kill me or kidnap me for breeding. Plus I will show it when I have mastered it. Itachi nodded at the request but asked, how would you master it? Quote, Naruto just smiled but didn't give the answer because he know if he says that Kyuubi is helping him, he would be in big trouble, so he said nothing. They reached Konoha and gave the report to Hokage. It gave Minato headache but didn't said anything to the team and dismissed it. He did that because he knew it would be stressful for the team. The team started to train hard because they don't want anyone from their precious people or comrades to die. Yugo started her training with sensei in kenjutsu. Itachi got trained by his father on jutsu because his sensei don't use ninjutsu most of the time. Naruto started to train with Kurama and his Jiji. 1 year time skip. Throughout the year they took most of the mission. They have done 400 D ranks, 150 C ranks and 50 B ranks. Their team was also called Team Prodigy. Their sensei called them for a meeting saying that it is important for them. They reached the training ground and waited for their sensei. He came and started, this important for you because cliffhanger no jutsu. This is important for you because we have been selected to protect Daimyo's son. Be proud because you have been selected to protect him. Shikaku said. The team nodded and proceeded to go to Hokage Tower. When they reached they were greeted by Minato. They were given the scroll and they nodded. They were given 1 day's time to pack and go. Naruto went back to the Namikaze household and saw his godfather have came back. He was talking to Minato about the child of prophecy. The elder great toad said that the child of prophecy shall have ancient powers of the great sage of 6 paths. The child of prophecy would be born and his or her parents would be the yellow flash and the red hot-blooded habanero. It shall bring peace or destroy the world. Minato felt happy because his child would be the one to save the ninja world and ends the cycle of hatred. But also scared that it might destroy the world, and he asked his sensei, who do you think this would be, either Menma, Naruto or Naruto? Jiraiya said, Minato, I am sorry to say this but I don't think Naruto would be the child of prophecy because I don't see the potential in Naruto. Minato, you have to take the risk and believe in the toads. We have to train Menma and Naruto, and Naruto might come in between the training of the twins. I prefer you give him his own another apartment and say you must grow up maturely. Minato was hesitant at first but nodded nonetheless. Naruto was standing behind the door, had heard everything and his heart sank. He could not believe it that his father and godfather would say this. He silently packed his things while Kurama was comforting him by saying that they do not how strong he is and how they will pay that they ever said that to him. Next day they all went out for the mission. Throughout the route Naruto was silent and was thinking about how he would show his family his strength and they will accept him back. While he was thinking, the other members of the team are irritated and worried. Irritated because the daimyo's son is a brat and is ordering the team to his things like massaging him and playing ridiculous games with him. Worried because usually Naruto would not be thinking so much about something. After some time Naruto was brought out of his thoughts when sensed a large amount of chakra hidden in the trees and he alerted his team to be on their guard. Then the masked man came out and said, "Oh, you are a sensory type, that's unfortunate. I thought I would do this silently at the time when you will rest. But shall we dance?" The team got ready but they all noticed a Sharingan through the hole of the masked man and then they attacked the intruder. Itachi did the hand signs and did the fire style, fireball jutsu. Tobi dodged easily but Itachi asked, "Who are you?" Tobi said, "It doesn't matter what my name is," and countered the punch from Itachi and with an uppercut sent Itachi flying. Yugo brought out her sword and coated with fire chakra and sent a fire style, dragon slash. It went right through the Tobi and cut 7 trees down. Yugo was shocked that she was unable to block the punch at the gutted and the wind was knocked out of her. Naruto sent a water style, water bullet jutsu, and like Yugo's attack it went right through Tobi. Tobi attempted to sweep Naruto's leg but he dodged it and Naruto did a roundhouse kick but it was for nothing. While Tobi and Naruto was fighting, Shikaku started to plan to defeat the masked man. The masked man did a right sweep but Naruto dodged it and suddenly he was sent flying back by a kick from the masked man. Then Tobi froze because of the shadow binding technique from Shikaku but he smirked under the mask and he swirled out of there. He appeared behind Shikaku and stabbed him through his stomach. "Sensei!" 3 of them shouted and the masked man proceeded to the daimyo's son while he was screaming. Naruto fought through his pain and stood up and started to run towards the daimyo's son. He pleaded himself to go fast. Then the whole background began to slow down and he noticed that everything is normal with him but not for long because he tripped and it became normal. Tobi killed the daimyo's son and said, "You all are pathetic. If I were you I would talk with my sensei one last time before he goes to the afterlife." After saying this he calmly out of there. All the team members gathered around their injured sensei and started crying. Itachi now activated his Sharingan because of the trauma. Naruto Rinnegan activated on its own and there was 4th Tomo began to appear. Then the King of Hell came out of the ground and took Shikaku and put it in his mouth and began to chew. The whole Team 7 was baffled and became angry because something came out of nowhere and took their sensei without listening their sensei's his last words. But then when it opens its mouth again they as well as Shikaku were shocked seeing their sensei fine. The King of Hell went back in the ground. Naruto heard Kurama saying, "Narula, this Naraka path also known as the King of Hell, it helps you restore anybody from any state except death. You can gather intel too but it will kill the person too. It will take a lot stamina to do control this path so I suggest you up your training." Naruto nodded because he can feel it his consciousness leaving him. Then he passed out. Naruto opened his eyes but closed it after bright light hit his eyes. Then his eyes began to adjust at the light. Then he spotted his team sitting beside the door and waiting for him to wake up. As soon as they saw he was up everyone rushed to him, except Shikaku. He came walking normally and started to ask him how he is feeling and etc. Yugo hugged him in tears but quickly let him go because how embarrassing it was. Then Shikaku asked the main question, "Naruto, how did you heal me because I know you don't know medical ninjutsu?" Naruto sighed and activated his Rinnegan with 4 tomos and showed it to his team. They all were shocked. Yugo was shocked because she didn't knew that Naruto have dojutsu and Shikaku was because he knows that Naruto's parents do not possess a dojutsu and for the tomos because he never seen any dojutsu other than the Sharingan. He was thinking for the possibilities for how Naruto got the dojutsu. Itachi was shocked because he can see 4 tomo and last time he saw the eyes it was 1 tomo and getting 3 more tomo is very hard in a year. Shikaku asked, "Naruto, do you know what this dojutsu is and how you got it and the powers of it?" Naruto nodded and answered, "I know what is this dojutsu is but I don't know how I got it." He said because how sensitive Kurama part it is. That is why he's saying this. It's power, but I will tell on one condition, that you will not tell anyone. I will reveal when I am ready to show and master its power. Quote. They nodded and he started. This dojutsu is known as Rinnegan, as to know how I know its name and powers. My godfather have met with a person who have Rinnegan and have told me the stories. It have many powers, but I don't all of it, but I can describe the powers I have used. They nodded again and he continues, my first power is gravitational manipulation. I can push and pull things, I can fly, but I need more concentration for it. I can increase or decrease weight of any object. Second power is I can summon any summoning animal. Third is I can change my parts of body and shoot rockets from it. He was showing also all the paths, like pulling flowers from the vase and pushing it. Summoning a cute fox and changing his hand. While the fourth power you saw it, but I can't show it now because it takes a lot out of me. It can heal people and I can gather intel from it. I would have 2 more powers, but still I have to master these powers. They all were baffled that Naruto have so many powers from his Rinnegan. They nodded and left their ways. Itachi went back the Uchiha compound to show his father that he have unlocked his Sharingan. Yugo went home to master her Kenjutsu skills. Shikaku went to research about the new dojutsu. After half-hour, an ANBU came at the hospital and told Naruto that his father had told him to be at the Hokage's tower as soon as you dispatch. He nodded and waited. After an hour he was dispatched and he shunshined out of there to Hokage's tower. He reached and knocked the door. From another side came a voice said, come in. He entered and saw his mother and father there and he understood what was going to happen, but he didn't say anything and let his father and mother continue. Hello Naruto. They both greeted, but he simply nodded. They thought it was a bit rude but shrugged it off. Naruto, we have to say something to Yoyu. We have decided that you have to grow up with experience to be alone if there is no one else to help you grow. That is why we will give you your own apartment. They said a little bit hesitantly. But to their surprise Naruto did nothing but said, no problem, I can understand. But inside he was heartbroken and Kurama said, they do not know value of you, we will show them when the time is right. Quote, Naruto took the keys of the apartment and went there to see how big apartment is. It was same apartment as normal canon. After he checked the apartment he saw he needed his supplies and food. So he went to buy it, like some vegetables, fruits, etc. and kunai, and while he was going to pay for the kunais he saw a blade that was dragon head handle and green color inside and blcak's teeth. It was like Naruto was pulled towards it. After unsteadying it and seeing its beauty he understood that this katana was made for him. He tried to add some chakra and it cackled with electricity. Then he bought it and went to his new apartment. By the time he did these things it was night. He went to the Namikaze household to take his things and move it to his new apartment. He opened the door and went upstairs to his bedroom and took his stuff and was coming down, but listened something that it broke every bond that he had with his family. They were saying, Menma and Naruto, we have a good news for you. We have news from your godfather that you too may be the child of prophecy, so we will start your training from another week. After hearing this twins began to cheer and they all were happy. Naruto said nothing and shunshined to his apartment and unpacked his things. He went to his bed and cried till he drifted to sleep. The next day when he opened his eyes, he was shocked because he not at the Namikaze household, but the memories of the last came back and he realized he is basically abandoned, but inside he knows he was abandoned when his siblings were born, but he didn't say anything to anyone. He got out of the bed and did the normal morning routine. When he was done and went out to the training ground 7 to meet with his teammates and sensei. They all reached at the same time and Shikaku started, hello, I hope you are ready to begin your training for Chunin exams. It would be in next 6 months, so we have to start training now to be prepared. They all nodded and did the physical training, like 200 push-ups, 200 sit-ups and 20 rounds around the training grounds while wearing 30 pounds for Itachi, 25 pounds for Yugo and 40 pounds for Naruto. He is wearing gravity seals also. At the last chapter he wore it, but he forgot to release because he was thinking. It was difficult for all of them, but they did this nonetheless. They were tired, but after taking rest they started sparring with only taijutsu and it went on for the next month. In this month Naruto began to train his Rinnegan abilities, like taking less time to push or pull things. Decreasing the time to make his body into Ashura path. Taking less stamina to use King of Hell. Taking less time to summon animals. After the month and after they did their exercise, Shikaku said, we shall start your ninjutsu training. We will first check your natures Itachi and Yugo because I don't know yours. Then I would bring scrolls according to that. They nodded but Naruto said, Sensei, I would like to do ninjutsu training alone with Gigi so I can have some ace to keep. Shikaku nodded and he understood it because he would also like to have some ace up his sleeve. Naruto got to the Sarutobi compound and spot his Gigi and got there. He asked his Gigi to help him train for Chunin exams. Hiruzen happily and started. Through the months he learned jutsu like water style, water sword. It creates a sharp sword made of solid water in the user's hand. As the user's control improves, he can manipulate the shape and size. Water style, water armor. A thin layer of water covers the user's whole body. At the basic requirements, it gives protection against fire techniques by dampening the effects, as well as nullifying some taijutsu attacks. While the armor is on, it constantly draws out small amounts of both the user's chakra and stamina, and thus can only be kept up for a limited time. Water style, mud ball. A very useful technique used to slow down their opponents. The user spits out a large ball of mud. The mud is kept together with chakra and, when it strikes a hard surface, it hardens, slowing down movement of the person hit or weighing down an item. Once it has turned solid, only a strong person can break it. Earth release, mud river. In this common stone jutsu, the user converts part of the floorground that he and his opponent are standing on into a raging avalanche of mud and earth. The opponent quickly loses his or standing and starts sliding wherever the mud river will take him her. Earth style, earth holding. This technique allows the user to manipulate the earth below an opponent's feet to rise up and grab hold onto both their legs. The earth is rather durable, and can only be physically forced away by taijutsu specialists and human tanks. Earth release, earth element sword. Similarly to earth shuriken, the user picks up dirt, or earth, molds chakra into the dirt, earth, and forms a sword. It isn't as sharp or powerful as a real sword, and is destroyed after a few hits. Wind style. Blade of wind. This technique is a pinpoint slashing strike, where the user emits chakra from their fingertips and materializes it into a near-invisible weapon that assaults the enemy in a gust of wind. Wind style. Wind dragon. The user must have high chakra control it takes of a dragon and attacks the enemy. It is very effective. Lightning style. Electric overdose technique. The user takes one post to channel a large amount of electricity into a limb, making the chakra visible. Upon contact with the opponent, the electricity is shot into him and the target's weight almost doubles, making it harder for the victim to move. Lightning release. Lightning magnet. This jutsu creates electrical clouds around the area that attract metal. Any metal projectiles thrown will be altered because of the clouds. This can be dangerous for both parties. Lighting style. Flash step. The user gather electricity in feet and disappear and appear where user wants. It is used in short distance. Fire release. Dragon fire technique. A jutsu that sends a stream of fire towards the opponent, originating from the user's mouth. In some cases it has been seen to take on the form of a dragon. Capable of being used like a flamethrower, prolonged exposure has been known to transform boulders and cliffsides into molten piles of magma. Fire release. Incinerating hail technique. By focusing their chakra into their hands, the user can then lift them skyward and create a salvo of small fireballs that will rain down all around them, incinerating anything they touch. Since the fireballs have no solid state, they can only do damage by burning things. These fireballs are about half the size of one's closed fist. Fire release. Flame spread technique. This jutsu allows the user to extend the flame from their hand to any weapon or item they may be holding. This creates a surrounding layer of flame around the object, but the object is unharmed. This can only extend to a length of 3 feet maximum, or the length of a medium-sized sword. Wood style. Deep forest emergence. It creates a dense growth of trees, controlling how it grows using his chakra. The tree's life force is immense enough to split the earth as they sprout and further pierce through any other obstructions they encounter. This growth is also fast enough that it can capture targets before they have a chance to escape. Wood style. Underground root jutsu. It can manipulate the terrain, bringing out underground roots of varying sizes to fit various offensive situations, such as using the roots for trickery, misdirection and restriction. One can also use a large-scale version, bringing out massive roots over a larger area that tangle around each other with such force that anyone caught in between is violently crushed to death. For Kenjutsu, he began learning his mother's style as to how he learned that he used wood style. Mayfly Jutsu to enter the Namikaze household library, and it had Kushina Kenjutsu style and Rasengan and Flying Ragen. Though he did not learn Flying Ragen was not same level as his father in Fuinjutsu to try Flying Ragen, and he did not mastered Rasengan, but he completed the second step. The Chunin Xmas was at Leaf Village, so they do not have to travel anywhere. Team 7 met at the academy entrance. They greeted and Shikaku said, I am going to say two things that are: first, always look underneath, and second, make me proud. You had to go room 301 inches. They nodded and entered. When climbed up the second floor they saw room 301, but they understood that it was Genjutsu. Yugo was going to say all that it was a Genjutsu, but Naruto stopped her by putting hand on her mouth and said, don't say anything, they are weeding out the weak if they can't spot this simple Genjutsu. Yugo nodded, and there were some red tint on her cheeks because Naruto was so close to her, but she would die before she would admit. They went to room 301 and sat at their given places. Then exam proctor came and announced the same rules as canon, and they started their exam. Itachi used his Sharingan and copied the answers from the one who was writing answers without a problem. Yugo naturally know the answers because she was clever. Naruto activated his Rinnegan and he could see further range, and he copied. Then came the final question, same as canon, and most the participants left, and there were only 8 teams left. They passed, and the proctor said that they have to reach training ground 44 tomorrow morning. All nodded and left. Itachi said, we should make formation and plans for the next exam because I have heard that the training ground 44 is dangerous and it have big creatures and etc. They nodded, and Naruto said, we make the plan at my home. They nodded and left. Naruto started to lead towards his apartment, which was opposite direction from Namikaze compound, so Itachi noticed and asked, Naruto, where are we going? Namikaze compound is behind us. Naruto turned and faced Itachi and said, my mother and father have gave me an apartment to grow up alone because they say I have to experience this living without. He said in normal tone, but Itachi and Yugo can see heartbroken eyes. They went to the apartment and made their plans. Next day, they reached the Forest of Death and saw they were TBE last. The proctor continued giving same rule as canon. Team 7 had Earth Scroll and they entered the forest. They began to search the area for anyone, but they were not lucky enough. Whole day passed, but there was no one. Naruto said, we can't anyone like this, so we should head towards tower because there would be teams setting up trap to capture other teams, so we should spilt and attack the team. They nodded and went to sleep. Next day they got up and went on the same direction, but they spilt it up. Naruto sensed a team hiding in trees and he saw their headband and understood they were from Cloud. Naruto signaled his team to attack. They shunshined behind the 3 and chopped their necks. Unfortunately for them they found Earth Scroll. They spilt it again and found an Sand team. The team leader said to Naruto, you're alone, so give us your scroll or we will kill. Naruto just snorted and went a set of hand signs and said wind style, wind Psyche. Naruto nodded to Itachi and Yugo to continue. Itachi did fire style, fire dragon, and Yugo did lightning style, lightning bolt. The collaboration did a lot of damage, but Tsunade team knocked out. Naruto could this with his shadow clones too. They finally find a heaven scroll and they began their journey to the tower and reached it. They opened the scroll and Naruto understood that it is summoning scroll, and he said to the team, and they threw away the scroll. A Chunin appeared and saw the time they have arrived. She was shocked because they have broke the previous record that 2 days time and they have done it 1.5 day. Then she told them that 3 days to rest and Holage will tell the rest. Team 7 was resting at the given room and waited for the other teams to come. While waiting for other teams, Naruto and Yugo were growing closer. Naruto now understood that he had some feelings for Yugo but said nothing, afraid of rejection. Itachi saw that and can see in Yugo's eyes that she have some feelings too. He encouraged Naruto to go ahead and confess, but he said, Itachi, I am very nervous, but I will think about it after the exams because I have to show everyone that I shouldn't be underestimated. Itachi nodded and understood that Naruto is referring to his family. After 3 days only came one was from Cloud and other from Mist. When they met at the ground and saw Minato. When the teams were standing side by side, Kurama sensed something and told Naruto, Naruto, I am sensing Isobu and Matabi's chakra here. Last I remember is that Isobu was at mist and Matabi was at cloud, so be careful. The girl with blonde hair have Matabi and the guy with blonde hair pink eyes have Isobu. They can interact with each other, but they would not expect us to be working together because they think I am too stubborn to work with a human. Naruto laughed internally at the last part but nodded and thanked Kurama. He watched Yugito and Yagura with side-eyed checking for any weaknesses but found none. Matabi told the same about Yagura and Naruto. Yagura was also told by Isobu. They watched each other side-eye. Cloud and Mist sent their Jinchuriki because they wanted to show that powerful warriors too. While this was going on, Minato did the speech how Chunin exams is important, etc. The main point he said was, you all have 1 week to prepare for the final exams because you might be hurt or anything else. All team nodded and left. Shikaku was waiting outside the training ground for his team and he congratulated them on passing the second round. They nodded. He said, you should rest this week. Though Naruto had other plans. The week passed and Naruto learned something that no one knew except Kurama. The day came finally and they met at Chunin Exam Stadium. Their odd number of people, that is why one person would move to second round, which was Yugo, and she was angry that she didn't get to fight, which Naruto handled and calmed her down. First match was Itachi versus a Cloud Nin. The match began and Itachi activated his 2 Tomo Sharingan. The Cloud Nin sent a lightning bolt which Itachi dodged. Then Cloud tried Headhunter Jutsu but Itachi substituted out of there. Then both met their eyes and Cloud Nin gritted his teeth and draw out his sword and channel his lightning chakra in it. He headed straight at Itachi, who surprisingly just stood there. The Cloud Nin stabbed him and stood with pride, but soon the world faded away and Itachi was standing behind him with a sword to his neck. The Cloud Nin was shocked and, how did you place Genjutsu on me? Then Itachi just smirked at him and told him to surrender, which he did. Itachi didn't say anything because he is not foolish to reveal his secrets. At Hokage stands. Hokage, you have got a Prodigy and a new Chunin, said the third Mizukage, which Minato nodded. O was pissed but said nothing because he knew that Yugito would handle it. Back to the stadium. The second match was a Cloud Nin versus Mist Nin, which was a draw. Then the third match was Yagura versus Mist Nin, which he forfeited because of the fear of Yagura as he knows the power of him. The fourth match and the last match of the first round, which was Yugito versus Naruto. Both were excited for this match and had determination. At Hokage stands. A said, Minato, your son would lose here because Yugito is the strongest genin in my village now. Minato said nothing, but he was thinking that Naruto might lose here, but little did he knew. Back to the stadium. The match started but of neither of them moved. Then Yugito started doing hand signs and did fire style. Fireball jutsu, which fire was blue. Naruto substituted out and attacked at her from back with his sword. Kushina was shocked as she recognized the style which Naruto was using and she knew she never teached Naruto. Back to Naruto, who's sweeping at Yugito, who was dodging it. Then Naruto added fire and wind chakra to his sword and shocked everyone at the control at the elements of his. He sent a combination style, Dragon Slash, which hit Yugito but it was at her shoulder. Yugito grunted and asked Matabi, Mata, can you send your chakra? And she said, Cat, you can't handle it now? Yugito said she would handle it. Then outside, Yugito got enveloped in a one-tail cloak. It stunned everyone and people of Leaf started booing because this chakra is reminding them of 9 tails. Yugito her state of mind right there and started to attack Naruto randomly. Naruto make 2 shadow clones and spread them. Original did wind style. Wind Scythe and his first clone did fire style. Fire Dragon and his second clone did lightning style, lightning bolt. This made huge explosion because it had more power than the team did because they did not wanted to kill the team. This stunned everyone because of the explosion, and Minato and Kushina were also stunned that Naruto had 3 natures, but they saw that Hiruzen was not shocked and thought that did Hiruzen knew. But they didn't ask him. The attack did nothing to Yugito, but she became more mad and Minato thought to stop the match but decided against it. Then made 3 more shadow clone and spread them again. He decided that he would show everyone he had wood style and Kurama chuckled at it and told, Yes, I want to see the face of that blonde when he sees that he had made big mistake kicking you out. Which Naruto chuckled and nodded his head. He distracted Yugito from his shadow clone and it happened as he planned. After some time everyone was thinking what he was doing. But his team knew that he must have some plan. Naruto just dodged for some time until his shadow clone did their part, which happened now, and he lured Yugito there, which she did. Then suddenly stop and Yugito was about to attack and everybody was thinking why he is not moving, and they got their answer. Naruto made a ram seal and saw Yugito standing and struggling through the paralyzed seal he made. Minato and Kushina had their eyes widen and it got more wider after they saw what he did after. Naruto did some hand signs and did wood style, tail beast suppression. He did suppressed Matabi's chakra and Yugito passed out after that because forcefully suppression her chakra. Team 7 was surprised that Naruto had wood style and never said anything about it. Hiruzen was just smirking and enjoying the looks he is getting from Minato and Kushina. I asked, Minato, I didn't think your boy had wood style, but by the looks of yours I can see you also didn't know about this. Minato was there stunned and thought how Naruto had wood style. But he didn't knew that he was for more surprise. The proctor announced, winner of match Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Everybody in the stadium cheered for him and Naruto just waved his hands. He went to the stands and saw his team and they asked, how do you have wood style and why didn't say about to them? He said, I don't how I have it, but I want to keep some ace up my sleeve. They nodded and after 10 minutes they started the second round. The first match of second round, which was Itachi vs Yugo, and they locked their eyes and nodded. The proctor started the match. Yugo started with ninjutsu. She did lightning style. Lightning bolt, which he dodged, and she did fire style. Phoenix flower jutsu. Itachi did water style, water bullet. Then she drawed out her sword and he did the same and they started their sword clash. Unfortunately for Yugo, Itachi have more agility and got cut in her leg, which slowed her down and she lost as couldn't dodge lightning style. Paralyzed jutsu, and she got knocked out. The proctor and announced Itachi as winner and the people cheered for him. The Uchiha clan was most loudest and Fugaku was proud. The next match was Yagura vs Naruto and it got some cheers from the people. They got down and the proctor started the match. Yagura moved at very speed, which impressed the cages, though Naruto dodged the punch from Yagura and they got in taijutsu battle. Yagura tried to sweep Naruto's leg but he dodged and countered it with his punch to gut, which connected, though it did very little to Yagura. Yagura jumped back and did hand signs at very high rate, which impressed everyone, and did water style, water bullet. Naruto used wind style, great breakthrough, which splattered the water. Yagura then got pissed as he was being countered every attack he is throwing at his opponent. Then he got enveloped in his two tails cloak and did a water style, water bomb jutsu, which got amplified with Baiju state, and Naruto knew he had no place to run, so he stood there. At Hokage stands, Minato got up from his seat because he might lose his eldest son in exams. Kushina grippled her dress tightly and Hiruzen was also stunned. Back to stadium, Naruto's eyes started to change color from blue to purple and have Tomo and raised his hands, which confused the people but got their answers quickly. Naruto absorbed the jutsu and had his fox grin and he thought, I am such a badass, which Kurama agreed on. All at the Hokage's stand were shocked and Minato, Kushina and Hiruzen were shocked that Naruto had Rinnegan. Naruto got up and he placed in a ram seal and realized some resistance seals from his body, and then he used swift reels, but nobody noticed that because it can't be seen except a dojutsu user, and Itachi saw it as he activated his Sharingan to see any weakness of Naruto for the next match. Naruto got behind Yagura and punched him through the stadium. Yagura recovered from it quickly, though Naruto used universal pull and Yagura to him and he absorbed Isobu's chakra. Yagura passed due chakra exhaustion. The proctor announced, winner of the match Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. The second round is now over and now is finale, which is between Naruto vs Itachi. Now we will take 10 minutes break. The crowd cheered more for him. Naruto said to Kurama, Kurama, we need to train on swift reels, it is best at close range. Which Kurama nodded and said yes. Naruto reached the stands and saw Itachi coming at him and said, even if you have wood style and Rinnegan, I will not go out without a fight. Naruto nodded and respect for Itachi grew more. After the break they got down and the proctor came down and started the match. Itachi activated his Sharingan and took out his sword and rushed towards Naruto and he dodged it. Then Naruto took out his own sword and clashed against his rival. Naruto added water and lightning to his sword and did combination style, Kurama/AN. He named it because he wanted to respect him, and the idea of combining two natures in his sword was Kurama's idea. It cut through Itachi's sword, but it only cut Itachi's cheek. Itachi and Naruto made eye contact and Itachi put him in a genjutsu, though Kurama broke it and said, "You idiot, don't you if make eye contact with he can put in a genjutsu because you are only floating." Naruto said to Kurama and said he would check it. Naruto then said, "How about we end in our last move?" And Itachi nodded. Itachi started to make his hand cover with fire and did fire style, burning bird. It was a jutsu which would impact on enemy and give them burn enough to state of a knockout or kill him, but Itachi put less power to not to kill his best friend and rival. Naruto moved his palm forward and a familiar sound swirling came and Rasengan was made, though he made it enough to only keep Itachi down. They both rushed at each other, but Naruto activated his Rinnegan and Universal pulled Itachi to him and absorbed Itachi's jutsu and slammed Rasengan on his gut and knocked out Itachi. The proctor came down and said, "Winner of this round and of the Chunin exams, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze." Everybody cheered for him and he raised his arm like All Might. Minato, Kushina was shocked that Naruto had learned Rasengan and won the Chunin exams. Minato thought that, "I have to talk with Naruto with how he have wood style and Rinnegan. How he learned Rasengan." Quote, Naruto got congratulations on winning the Chunin exams. He met his team and they congratulated him and he nodded. Itachi was healed by the medics and there were no permanent damage. They went to have barback to celebrate Naruto winning the exams. During eating, Naruto half-asked half-joked Itachi, "I hope you don't dislike for me winning the exams or slamming Rasengan on you." Itachi's eye was twitching and Yugo laughed and Sensei smirked. "I already knew that I can't win. So no, I don't dislike you, and for the last part one would take revenge one day," Itachi said with a smirk. Naruto just smirked and said, "You require a decade worth of training to even hurt me." He laughed at Itachi as his plan backfired. After talking and eating, they got out of the restaurant. They went back to home and rested. The next day Naruto got up and did his morning routine and got ready to meet with his sensei at the Hokage's tower for the result of the Chunin exams. They met at the tower and greeted each other. They entered the tower and saw the secretary and he guided them to the council chamber. They entered the chamber and all eyes were on Naruto. Shikaku took his seat as Nara head. Then Minato started, "As you know, you are here, so we decide that if you're a Chunin or not." The team nodded. Yugo Izuki, she stepped forward. "The results are great, you did great at the exam and you're very good at Kenjutsu and Ninjutsu and average at Taijutsu. We discussed it and now from here on we are promoting Yugo Izuki as a Chunin." Minato said and gave her a Chunin jacket. She took it and put it on and she stepped back. "Itachi Uchiha," and he stepped forward. "The results are freed for you too and you did great at the exam as well. You are great at Kenjutsu, Ninjutsu, Genjutsu and average at Taijutsu. We discussed and from now on you are promoted to a Chunin," Minato said and gave Itachi his Chunin jacket, which he took and wore. Fugaku had pride in his eyes. "Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze," and he stepped forward. "The results are the best and you're great at Kenjutsu, Ninjutsu, Fuinjutsu, Taijutsu and average at medical jutsu." Naruto learned some basic jutsu from Hiruzen after his sensei almost died. "We discussed and you are not promoted to Chunin." The team was about to protest but Mianto continued, "Instead you are promoted to a Jonin because we saw your skills and intelligence at the exams and decided you have all requirements to be a Jonin." Minato explained and was smiling and had pride in his eyes. He gave Naruto the Jonin jacket and Naruto wore it. The team was shocked that Naruto direct got promoted to Jonin. They were also happy for him because he got promoted. Then Minato said, "The team is dismissed and Naruto, you will come to my office 2 hours later after finish with the counts. I want to talk to you in private." The team nodded and left. Naruto knew what Minato wanted to talk about. Kurama said, "They all are power hungry. They saw your power and now want you back after they kicked you out of their home." Naruto agreed with Kurama. 2 hours later he got to the Hokage's tower and knocked at the door. He heard, "Come in," and he entered the office and saw Minato, Kushina, and Jiraiya. They greeted him and he just nodded his head. Minato now came to main point and said, "Naruto, now I know you that why are you so keeping straight to the point. First question is, how do you have wood style in Rinnegan? Second is, why didn't you tell us? Third is, how did you learn Rasengan and your mother's Kenjutsu style? Quote. Naruto nodded and started. If you know that only Senju can have wood style, so I am a Senju, I don't know how. As for Rinnegan, I don't know. For the second question, the answer is that if put some attention on me after my siblings were born and trained me, then I would have told you. For the third, I don't want to say it because it is my secret. Quote. Minato and Kushina tried to deny that they neglect him. Then Minato said, I was busy with paperwork and Kushina was with your siblings. Minato tried to defend him and Kushina, but Naruto said, I know you were busy, but you still could make a shadow clone to help me. You did it for the paperwork and played with Menma and Naruto. You could have trained me too, and after my godfather said that my siblings are the child of prophecy. I was happy for them, but you decided to kick me out for them to have some place to grow. Now that I have shown you my power, you are coming back, and now I have my team as my family, and I don't need you as I have made John, and now I can earn more money from missions, so I don't anyone to lean on. Naruto shouted, but not enough to reach outside the room. Kushina was as in tears, realizing how did his son grew up, because most of her life grew up like that before she and Minato got together. Minato was holding his tears back and comforted Kushina and said nothing to Naruto because he knew he was at fault here. Jiraiya was ashamed of himself for kicking out his godson. Minato then asked, Naruto would ever forgive us? Naruto was silent for a minute, then said, I would think about it. Now should I leave if you don't mind? And Minato nodded his head and Naruto left. Naruto reached his apartment and opened his door and sat down. He ate ramen because he didn't want to cook anything now. He was thinking how it would turn out if his parents would not neglect or if he forgave him now. Naruto was brought out of his thoughts when he was pulled to Mindscape by Kurama and he asked him why he was brought here. Kurama said, we should see what would be your summoning since you are free right now. And Naruto looked at him with a deadpan expression and said, I can summon any summoning, Kurama, so why I would need a summoning? Kurama said, I know you fool that you don't need summoning, but you can't learn Sage Mode from the Rinnegan summoning. You have to have a summoning contract to learn it. You can learn about gathering nature chakra and you would be very powerful with it. Naruto nodded his head and asked how would he know which summoning animal would be his. Kurama said, I would show you the reverse summoning technique and you would go to realm of whichever summoning you are suited the most. After you get your contract, then whenever you reverse summon yourself you would to the summoning realm of the animal you have. Quote. Naruto nodded his got out of his mindscape and did hand signs which Kurama sent to his mind and he reverse summoned himself and found out he was in some type of mountain. Then he started to walk, then voice came. Oh, it seems someone have come here after some centuries. It is nice to see, so I am asking why are you here, human? The dragon said, coming out from the shadow. It was red in color and had scales. It had yellow eyes and two small horns coming out. Naruto saw this and answered, I wanted to have a summoning contract, so I reversed summoned myself and found out that I was here. Dragon was impressed that anyone would come here. Then he said, even if you came here like you said it was, I would have to take a test to see if you are really worthy of having dragon summoning. Naruto nodded his head and said that he was ready for the test and asked what was the test. The dragon said, the test is that you have to survive my strongest attack or else you would die here. Naruto gulped, but he nodded his head to say that he was ready. The dragon started to power up and attacked, then Naruto activated the Rinnegan and did almighty push which had a lot of power in it. The attack of the dragon dispersed at the pressure of the almighty push. The dragon was impressed but saw that the boy had the Rinnegan. He was shocked that a Rinnegan user was still there, but he asked the boy, boy, you have Rinnegan, tell me how you have it. And why do you need the summoning? Because you can summon any summoning. Naruto answered, for the first question, the Rinnegan came from my partner inside me, that is the 9 tails he gave me as a gift to me. I would have given you his name but he doesn't like it. For the second question, I know I can do that but I can't learn the Sage Mode and I would need a summoning contract, that is why. The dragon nodded his head and said, you have the test so you can sign the summoning contract and we can be summoned when you need help. My name is Dai and I would be your personal summoning. Quote. Naruto nodded his head. Dai brought the scroll that had the contract. He spread it and said, you have write your name in blood and your 5-finger in blood. Naruto did as he was told. After he completed it, the seal glowed for like 10 seconds, then it returned back to normal. Naruto then asked Dai, when would I start learning the Sage Mode? Dai sighed and said, Naruto, you know the Sage mode is not easy and it seems you can die if you are not careful, so I would suggest you come here to learn Sage mode after some years, like 4 years or so. Naruto was stunned that he might die if he isn't careful, but had determined eyes that he would not die. Naruto nodded his head and thanked Dai for everything and got back to his home and went to sleep because he was tired after this much. The next day Naruto got up and did his morning routine and headed to the training ground 7 to meet his team. By the time he got there, everybody was there. Shikaku started, "Congratulations on being promoted. I am very proud of being on your sensei, and I now admitted that I like my time spent with you. But happy days come to end. Now you all are promoted to Chunin and Jonin, so Team 7 is disbanded from here on." Naruto, Itachi and Yugo were shocked at the revelation, but Itachi and Naruto guessed it somewhat. Then he said, "Even though your team is disbanded, you will work still together now because you are young and don't have experience. Tomorrow you would your first rank mission, so be ready and pack your things for everything." We nodded and left to pack their things. Naruto also packed 6th level of Fuinjutsu book with him to learn during the trip because he knows that higher rank missions last a long time. The next day came and they all went at the Hokage's tower. They knocked at the door and a voice said, "Come in," and they entered. Minato began to say, "So you all know that your team is disbanded, but you will work for now because you are young and don't have experience, so I would be giving you a rank for the experience. Now your mission is to bring back Tsunade Senju back to Leaf Mission safely because we need her medical ninjutsu to help with the hospital. Last known location of her was Umaid Town," said Minato. Team nodded their head and took the scroll and left the tower. They left the village and headed towards Umaid Town, which was 2 days' trip. I just put Umaid Town name, it is not any town but consider it for now. The time felt as if fly by and they reached the town, and now they have searched the whole, which luckily Naruto knew something that would help a lot in finding her and summoned some dogs and cat and gave it a picture to find, and they spread it out. Team went to a hotel and checked in. Few hours a dog had found her on a bar laying funked and a younger woman with a pig in her hand. The team decided that they would meet her now. They got up and headed towards the bar, and when they entered the bar and they had clutched their nose as it was full smell of liquor and they didn't like it a bit. Then they sat down in front of Tsunade and the lady, and she asked, "Why are you sitting here? This place is reserved. Are someone from the debt collectors? Are yo?" She wanted to continue but she was cut off by Naruto and he said, "We are here from Leaf and sent to bring her back." Tsunade stood up and pointed her finger at Naruto and said, "I will not go back to that rigid village that took everything from me. It took my clan, lover and my brother. I will never go back to that village. By the way, who are Anway?" Quote, Naruto told in normal voice, "My name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. This Itachi Uchiha and this is Yugo Azuki. We are here on a mission to bring you back. We can also bring you back forcefully." Itachi and Yugo got a little tense. Tsunade rose her eyebrow and then started to laugh hardly and said, "You brat, you are 4 decades young to be at my level. But if you want that, then okay, so then let's then make a bet. We will fight, and if I win you all will give me all your money and leave and never come back looking for me. If you win, then I will come to village willingly. Now brat, do you accept it?" Quote, Naruto looked at his team and they first discussed and they made a decision that Naruto would fight her because there is no other option to bring her back. Naruto nodded his head and said, "I accept. We are going to forest to not create any destruction here." Tsunade nodded her head and started following them. While they were discussing, Shizune tried to stop her master but for no avail. She also tried the kids to back off but they didn't listen. They came to the forest and Naruto got in his fox fist style and confused Tsunade because she have never saw that style, but she complied and rose her finger and said, "I would only require 1 finger to beat you." She smirked. Naruto said, "If I were you I would not underestimate my opponent, but well, easy win for me." They started the match and Naruto rushed at her and she slammed her finger down and it cracked the ground. Naruto jumped up and got down with a drop kick which she dodged and attacked him and flicked on his head, but instead of flying away he poofed in smoke. Tsunade's eyes widened and thought, a shadow clone. When did he? But was brought out of her shock and saw Naruto going through hand seals and did wood style, 4-pillar prison. Tsunade and Shizune both were shocked and thought, how did he have wood release? And many questions. Tsunade got captured and she felt her chakra leaving her, so she put a lot of chakra on her fist and slammed it down. She got down but she was paralyzed and she looked down to see some seals beneath her, and before she could even think she got knocked out by a Rasengan by Naruto. The team and Shizune both were in shock, but Shizune shook her head and rushed to Tsunade to check if she is alright, but Naruto said she is fine but only damage at the part 1 hit her Rasengan. Step aside, I would heal her. Shizune was gonna protest but Naruto said, I want to heal her because I inflicted the damage, so please let me do it. Quote. She nodded and stepped aside and got behind Naruto. Naruto activated Rinnegan and summoned the King of Hell and put Tsunade there, and it closed the mouth and chewed and brought Tsunade back to normal, but she was still knocked out. He deactivated his Rinnegan and turned and said, don't ask any questions now, I would answer it when she get up. Shizune nodded her head and took Tsunade to her room and the team followed. The team asked Naruto during they were going, Naruto, you planned it all, don't you? Naruto smirked and said, of course I know I couldn't defeat her with her full strength, but she underestimated me and I took it as an advantage. I first make some sealess shadow clones, then I replace myself with it. Then I captured her in the 4-pillar prison. I knew she would punch it through it, so the shadow clones made a paralyzed seal and she got trapped, and I made a Rasengan and ended it. They nodded their head in understanding. After some hours Tsunade got up with a headache because she was drunk at the time of fight. Then memories came back to her and she shouted, no, I lost to a brat and now have to go back to village. But calmed after taking some breaths. Then she saw her surroundings and saw the team and Shizune sitting waiting for her to wake up. They came around and Naruto said, I won the bet, granny. In a cheeky tone. Tsunade got a tick mark and Shizune started laughing, don't call me that, brat. Naruto got quiet after that. Tsunade then asked, brat, how do you have wood style? Naruto then said, I am a senju, that is why. I don't who from my parents is a senju, but my guess would be my father because he was orphan and didn't knew his parents. Quote. Tsunade nodded her head and said, you won the bet, brat, so I will be coming back with you to the village and in a way you are my family. So go for now, come tomorrow, I would have packed my things by that time. They nodded and left to their rooms. Next day they all got ready to leave. As soon as they left the town they saw something that left them shocked. They saw 200 shinobi, they were from IWA. They were shouting, we are here to kill the Namikaze. Naruto was shocked that this much shinobi have came here to kill him. Then he turned around and told his team, they are here for me, you all go with her and I will stall them. Go now. The team put a heavy heart and moved while Tsunade was screaming, I don't want to lost my last family again. She was knocked out by Shizune, who injected a sleeping serum inside her, and she was also in tears. Yugo and Itachi had tears going down their face, and Itachi awakened 3 Tomo's Sharingan and they left. 2 days later they reached the village. Throughout the way everybody was crying a lot. Tsunade got up a day after and started screaming at Shizune for doing that, and she was crying a lot too. They reported it to the Hokage and he was stunned and he sent ANBUs to search for Naruto. He never ever thought that IWA was like that to kill his son for revenge. When Kushina heard the news she was devastated and she screamed at Minato for sending Naruto at the mission. The next day came and Minato was sitting at his desk worrying about his son and blaming himself for his son's death. Then his secretary burst into his room and started stuttering and pointing towards to someone who looked like he was fought a war. Then he slowly came into light and he slowly removed his hood and shocked Minato. It was none other than Dekusari wrong anime. It is none other than Naruto and he lived. Minato was shocked as hell and a lot questions but kept it aside for now, and he reached him and hugged him tightly. Naruto couldn't breath and he was turning blue and said, I can't breath. Naruto chalked out. Minato after some seconds realized him and asked, how are you here? How did you survive? Did you escape? Or did you killed everyone? Naruto told him to calm down and then he said, calm down, please bring my team and Kushina here. I will tell all at once because I don't want to repeat the story for everyone. Minato and summoned his ANBU and told them to bring Kushina, Tsunade and his team. The ANBU nodded his head and left to bring them. After 30 minutes everyone came to the office. They saw a hooded figure there but didn't question about it. They asked, did we got any information on Naruto, brat? Minato nodded his head and motioned the hooded fihor to come forward, and it did, and he slowly removed his and again revealed his face, and that was none other than Dekusari, not anymore. It was Naruto. Everybody was shocked and happy. Yugo rushed to him and hugged him tight and he hugged back. She said, I am so happy that you're alive and well." Itachi and Naruto just fist bumped each other. Shikaku nodded his head and Tsunade crushed him to death and said, "Don't ever do that again or else I would kill you myself." Naruto gulped and nodded. Then Kushina also crushed him and started to say how much she missed him and how much she was concerned. Then the question on everybody's mind came, how did you survive? Naruto nodded and answered. Flashback. When the team and Tsunade left, Naruto said in his mind, "Great, it's my first mission and now I had to deal with 200 shinobi. Kurama, any suggestions?" Kurama thought and said, "Kid, you can summon Dai and then you can the secret jutsu that you have been learning and at end who all lasted you can take my chakra and end it." Naruto took the suggestion and thanked Kurama and did the hand seals and summoned Dai. Dai asked Naruto, "Naruto, why did you summon me?" Then he saw 200 shinobis there and smirked a bit and said, "Thank you Naruto for bringing my limbs are going numb for not using them. They would be my warm-up." Naruto nodded. Dai is like 800 feet tall, just want to clear it. Naruto did hand seals and shouted, "Wood style, wood dragon jutsu." And a wood dragon emerged from the ground started to cause havoc. Dai also started his assault and they both nodded their head and Naruto did the hand signs and said wind style, great breakthrough, and Dai D fire style, hellstorm, and shooted hot and dense fireballs which got stronger with the wind breakthrough. 150 was already got kill in the damga caused by the wood dragon and Dai and that attack. 25 were left injured and the rest 25 took cover from the attack. They were on panic mode. They decided to retreat but Naruto got in front of them and said, Now you came to kill me and now you are retreating now? I can't do that now, can I?" The ninja were in horror but then 20 ninja got up and said to the rest of the 5 to leave and they obeyed them. The 20 rushed at him and he also rushed at them. Naruto only used pure taijutsu on them and 4 were knocked out and 5 were already killed. A ninja put an explosive tag on a kunai and throw at Naruto. Naruto caught it between the air and took the tag and placed the tag on the one who threw at him and said, "I think this belongs to you." The shinobi tried to remove it but ran out of time and exploded and took 10 more with him. Only 1 remained where the 4 knocked out 1 and the 5 that left. He killed the 4 with his katana and looked at the setting sun. He took his time on defeating all 200 shinobis. Then he decided that he will make the camp here only and try to recover his chakra and his stamina and thought that he would take for Konoha tomorrow. After 2 days he arrived, which was a day later when his team reached. End of the flashback. Everybody on the office eyes widen at Naruto having dragon summoning contract, killing 195 enemies himself. Naruto looked down and asked in a sad tone, "Am I monster? I killed so many people I can see their blood in my hands." Minato quickly engulfed his son in a hug and said, "No son, you had to defend yourself and your precious people. I also had some nightmares at killing the ninjas that day. Don't blame yourself, this is ninja world, we had to kill to survive." Minato patted Naruto's head who was now only sobbing and after some time he calmed down. Minato said, "I got the report from your team and you will paid after some time, so I am giving you a week break before start another mission." They nodded and left. Tsunade grabbed his hand and dragged him to the hospital and said, "You fought 200 shinobis by yourself, you have to let yourself get checked out." Naruto just nodded his head and let Tsunade get checked him out. The whole week went and the friends each other presents and celebrated Naruto's victory, and the next week when they entered the Hokage's office to take another mission they were all shocked at the news that they received, and that was that Naruto got on the bingo book and his name was Dragon God and he was AS rank ninja. Minato then said, "Congratulations on being recognized as AS rank ninja at such a young age, but you need to be more careful as you have a bounty on your head from Iwa. Naruto, I have offer for you if you want to accept." Naruto thought about it for minute then nodded his head. Then Minato said and everyone on the team got shocked, but Naruto inside his anticipated it a little, but he don't thought that he would asked about this before. He thought, "I want you to join ANBU. I am giving you the whole time of this mission to decide what would be your decision. I don't you to be feel stressed, you can decline it too." Naruto nodded his head and saw Yugo flinch a little, and then he remembered that Yugo had a dream that she wanted to be a head captain of the ANBU. Then he tried to console her because he had some feelings towards her and couldn't express during the events. She just gave him a fake smile and said, "I am okay Naruto, congrats on being AS rank at such a young age." Naruto though just nodded, but inside he could feel his heart breaking apart seeing it such a state. The mission was that they have to protect a merchandiser from the ninjas of Kumo, Iwa and Mist. They have to bring him safe back to Suna. They left to go to their home and packed their stuff and got out and head towards the town where they would start their mission. They got there after 3 hours and saw the merchandiser and they got on the road. The road was peaceful and Naruto was thinking about the offer that he was offered. Then he asked Kurama for any suggestion. Kurama said, "I don't know kid, there are pros like you would get more experience and would likely learn more things and know about some secrets, and cons are that your life would be at risk and you not be able to contact anyone close to you enough. I have given you pros and cons, now you have to decide it." Quote. Naruto nodded his head after listening to the pros and cons. They came to a stop as the sun was already setting and they set up the camp and slept there for the night. The next day moved forward to their destination but was stopped by Garen Urin, who was a rank missing nin from Kumo. The team got tensed and Garen asked, "Brats, let me take me that man and I might let you live." Merchandiser was trembling because he was thinking that the kids would just let him go, but he was proven wrong when Naruto moved forward and said, "This is our client and we can't let him go." Then Garen said, "Too bad, now you have to die." Then he rushed forward and took out his sword and swinged at Naruto and at him, but he poofed. That confused Garen but understood that it was a shadow clone. Then he was struck by 3 shuriken but substituted by tree trunk and attacked Naruto from behind, but Itachi saved him and hit Garen with fire style Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Garen only took 2 fireballs but then he dodged it. Garen landed and Naruto took out his sword and engulfed it with water and lightning chakra nature. Garen was impressed. Then he had to dodge a swip from Yugo. Then he and Itachi and Yugo was fighting a Kenjutsu battle while Naruto made a few shadow clones. After some minutes them battling, Naruto shouted now and Yugo and Itachi got aside and Naruto was almost done his attack, but Garen said, "I can easily dodge that." Naruto just smirked and Garen felt heavy and he fell down to the ground and he saw some seals. Naruto said, "It is a gravity seal, you can't get out of it since it takes your chakra and make you lose consciousness, but today you will be unconscious for the rest of the time." Quote. Naruto shouted, "Combination style, vapor burning jutsu," and shot a water lightning wave towards Garen. It burned him very badly and only his head could be identified. They cut off his head and put it on a sealing scroll. The merchandiser threw up. Then after that they took him to Suna. It took them 1.5 days to reach there. The merchandiser signed the scroll, which was that he safely reached to his destination. Then they took him back to Konoha. Naruto just summoned his dragon and they flew most of the time. It took them 8 hours to reach Konoha. They first reached the Hokage office to give their report and they knocked the door and a voice said, "Come in." They entered and Minato was shocked and checked them clearly and asked, "How did you all came here so fast? Did the client died?" He was cut off by Naruto, who gave the report of the mission and took out Garen's head as proof. Minato was shocked at first, but he remembered that his son has defeated 200 Jonins and Chunins. Then he said, "We came here so fast because of my dragon summoning." Minato nodded his head and then Naruto answered the question before it was even asked. "Yes, I will join and I want to be known as Dragon." Minato nodded his head and told, "Okay, you all will get a part of the bounty on Garen and Naruto. You come here tomorrow and I'll give you your mask and dress and then I will give the place where the ANBU headquarters are, then you would go and start your journey, Dragon." They nodded and left. Naruto asked them, "Want to join me on Ichiraku's? I am hungry?" Itachi shrugged and followed and Yugo said, "I am a little busy but you continue on." Itachi and Naruto both saw the sadness in her eyes but left to have ramen. The next day, Naruto got to the Hokage's tower and he got to the office and knocked the door and a voice came, "Come in," and he entered. Then Minato noticed it was Naruto and he greeted him and he nodded his head. Then Minato gave him the dress, uniform of ANBU and a mask in which Dragon Wad engraved and he took and changed it very quickly. Minato gave him a slip and he took it and body flickered out of there and got to the destination and saw a dog ANBU there and he recognized him as Kakashi Senpai. He greeted and Kakashi just nodded and took him to the underground base and the rest of the ANBU were shocked. They were shocked because he was short compared to the others and they thought, how can a little brat came here? How do he have a mask of leaf? Kakashi and Naruto saw all the looks but shrugged it off and Kakashi continued showing Naruto around and where he might sleep if he chooses. After some hours Minato came there and announced the new Komer dragon. The ANBU commander knew who Dragon was because he only requested him to join. Then he said, "Hokage-sama, if you don't mind, we would like to test his skills to see in which team we should put him in." Minato nodded and Naruto moved forward on the ring and 2 elite ANBU came. The commander said, "Don't worry about losing or winning, we only see your skills and choose to put on what team you are in." Naruto nodded his and understood it. Then match started, the 2 ANBU rushed and Naruto just stood there. Everybody was confused and Minato just smirked and the 2 ANBU cut him, but he poofed and Naruto came from beneath and did the earth style headhunter jutsu. Then the ANBU was going to come out but their paper bombs down and the ANBU that was down was knocked out and his legs were burned a little and the ANBU that was up was sent flying off. Then Naruto did the lightning style flash step. He came above the ANBU and slammed a Rasengan on his gut which knocked him out. The commander was impressed and he expected it, and the other ANBUs except Kakashi was extremely shocked that a kid had defeated 2 elite ANBU. Then the commander then said, he would on Team Hunter. "Dragon, congratulations, you are now officially a ANBU and you would go on the missions after you read the rules and can communicate with others in our secret language." Naruto nodded and everyone was shocked because a rookie was in the strongest ANBU team. Naruto got to learning the things what he needed to do. Naruto learned all the things within a day because of his Rinnegan. He and his team was summoned to the office and they got their mission, which was capture or kill Orochimaru, which had fled from the village and had became a Rouge ninja. They left and packed all there as fast as they could. They left the gates and rushed out of the village. They rushed for a day and saw Orochimaru at a camp he set. They saw a baby approximately 3 years old and she was a girl with red hair. Naruto didn't know what, but he could feel she is his family, but he couldn't know who it is. The captain in the secret language said, "Dragon on right and Parrot on left and Crow on behind and I would be at front." They nodded their head and got to their position. They were waiting for their captain to give them a signal and after few minutes they got the signal and they attacked. They entered the camp and they saw paper bombs lighting up and their eyes widened, but Naruto did hand signs on time and a wooden dome protected all of them. The ANBU captain nodded his head in acknowledgement and they continued on catching Orochimaru. After few minutes they catched up and Orochimaru cursed himself and thought, "I was sure that someone must be hurt and I could escape." Then he saw there was 5 normal ANBU and 1 shorter ANBU. He stopped and thought that he is a Sannin and that he could take care of them and be on his way and he don't have to worry the rest of journey. As soon as he stopped, all ANBU dropped to the ground and got to their fighting stances. Orochimaru chuckled a little and said, "Look what we've got here, ANBUs from Leaf. I knew they were going to send some ANBUs, but I didn't think they would send 5 ANBUs and a kid. Are they underestimating me? I am freaking Sannin. No one knows the strongest or weakest team other than ANBU and Hokage." Orochimaru got on his snake stances and rushed at Parrot and tried to knock out him unconscious fast, but Parrot dodged it and sliced Orochimaru in half, but it turns out to be a mud clone and he emerges from the ground behind Dragon and tried to cut him, but he was sent flying back by Almighty Push, but he didn't heard the attack's name. He was confused as to how he was sent flying back, but he recovered fast and attacked again but was stopped by the captain and they got on a Kenjutsu battle and Naruto made shadow clones and waited for the moment. Then as soon as they were ready and he did earth style, body binding jutsu. His shadow clones did fire style, fire dragon and wind style, wind bullet. Orochimaru was binded and he was shocked that he was captured so easily, and then he saw the 2 attacks coming at him. Then there was fire blaze at the place. After few seconds they saw a shedded skin. They got on their guard and Orochimaru got behind Crow and caught him off guard and knocked him out. The captain rushed at him and Naruto did the hand signs and did wood style, 4-pillar prison. Everyone there was shocked, the ANBUs, because they do not know any of skills, and Orochimaru because of the wood style that Naruto possessed. Then he thought about the child that survived his experiments but got his thoughts out because the child should be older than the ANBU. He is a different person who awakened Mokutan. I would like to have his body but I don't have time. Then he summoned a large snake and broke the prison. Orochimaru thought, shit. I can't bring the child to experiment, but it doesn't matter as I can come back later for her. Then the snake swallowed Orochimaru and dug a hole and left. The ANBU captain was pissed at inside but hid it very well and said, "We've failed the mission, let's go back to the village and report the Hokage." They nodded, but before they left Dragon stopped them and said, I can't just leave a child here. The captain sighed and said, Dragon, it is not our duty to keep her safe. Naruto looked sadly at the child, but light bulb lit up. Then he said, Orochimaru was kidnapping a child. There must be a reason he chose to kidnap her. What if we take her to Hokage? She must have special ability to catch Orochimaru's eyes. The captain saw a glint in Dragon's eye, but he accepted it nonetheless, and they took the kid and left. Throughout the way, Naruto asked Kid some questions like, what is your name? Where do you live? Do you have parents? Where are they? Quote, she answered, my name is Karen Uzumaki. They all were shocked that there was Uzumaki left after the destruction of Uzu. Then she continued, I don't. Where did I live? I didn't know any of my parents. I lived in an orphanage. They nodded and said, don't worry kid, we will save you. She nodded and they reached the village the day after they gave the report, and Minato was shocked that there was another Uzumaki left, and he took the kid his home. He introduces Karen to everyone and they introduce them to Karen. Naruto was happy for Karen and continued his ANBU work. Time skip 3 years. Dragon is summoned in front of the new ANBU members. They were none other than I. Dragon was summoned in front of his new ANBU members. They are none other than Izuku Midoriya. Ha, got you there. You thought it was Itachi, but it was Izuku. He have traveled to another dimension to be a ANBU. No, I am kidding, it is none other than Ida. Sorry, not more of this. It is none other than Itachi Uchiha and Yugo Izuki. They would do the test and it will decide which team on they would be. Naruto was in his uniform, so Itachi and Yugo didn't recognize him. He said, get in positions. Their 4 ANBU came and got in their positions, and Itachi and Yugo got in their respective stances. The match started and the ANBU rushed at them. They both nodded to each other and they did fire style, fire dragon roar, and wind style, wind scythe, and did a lot of damage and knocked out 3 ANBUs, and one was left. They took out their swords and vanished and appeared. The ANBU was in between and Itachi was at front with holding his sword at throat, and Yugo did the same but at back. Dragon nodded his head and said, they would be on Team Dog. Dog nodded his head and showed them around and gave them their code names, which were Emu and Cat. They were given their ANBU gear and they learned the rules and the sign language. While they were learning, they asked Dog, is anyone there named Naruto? He nodded and said, you should ask Commander Dragon, he should tell if he wanted to. They nodded and left for his office. They forgot his ANBU name, that is why they can't identify Naruto. They came to the office and knocked at the door, and a voice came, come in. They entered and saw the commander and his shadow clones doing paperwork, and he looked that he was not enjoying it a bit. He said, why the hell did I take this? Then he remembered that someone was there. He then cleared his throat. He asked, may I ask why you two are here? Aren't you two supposed to learn the rules and sign language? They nodded, but Kat said, we are here because we want to see our friend Naruto. He is also a ANBU member. We just wanted to see him as we didn't saw him in a year. Dragon nodded and said, usually I would not allow this, but are you sure you want to meet him? They were confused but nodded there. Then the commander slowly removed his mask and it was none other than Nezu. Sorry, that's wrong, it is none other than Naruto. They were shocked that he is the commander and etc. Their eyes are widened and their jaw dropped. Then Yugo pointed and asked, Naruto, is T that you? How did you became T the CC commander? Itachi was thinking the same. Naruto chuckled and said, Yugo, this is me, and as to how I became the commander. Flashback 1 year. Naruto was summoned in front Hokage and the commander at Hokage's tower. He came and kneeled and greeted them. They nodded their head and told him to stand up. Captain of Team Hunter, I am about to retire from ANBU and I want someone to take my place. Naruto nodded. Naruto became the captain of Team Hunter after a year because he was way ahead in skills than other members of the team. And the commander continued, I want you to be the youngest commander because you are way ahead than anyone else. You have already learned the Flying Thunder God, which itself is deadly. But you are very good at everything. So would accept it. Quote, Naruto was shocked that he is being offered the position of commander. Then he remembered his goal, and if he can achieve his goal by doing this, then he would this. He said, I accept it. I am honored that you chose me. Commander just laughed and said, you've earned it, Dragon. Naruto just bowed down and Minato said, Dragon, tomorrow we would announce this on the base. Naruto nodded and flashed away. Flashback end. That's how I became the commander, and that is why I couldn't come to meet you as I was busy with this. Showing the paperwork on the desk, and he said, even if I am the commander, I will not be partial with you. All the rules will apply for you both. They nodded and actually respected that, as they also don't want any partiality. They got back to learning the rules and the sign language. After they learned all the things, they left to do their first mission, and it went well. They got back and reported it to the commander, and he had more which he cursed about. But they continued their lives. Naruto started using wood and shadow clones to do his paperwork while he do training and other things. He started to try combine Chidori and Rasengan. He also tried to make Flying Thunder God level 3. He improved in seals and was 9 seal level, and when he does 10 then he would be a certified seal master. He also started learning Sage mode, then he discovered that he can have 2 Sage mode. First is Dragon Sage mode and second is Wood Sage mode. He honestly shocked about it when he learned about it. Kurama also forgot to told him. He relations with Yugo also got better, and after months of courage he asked her out and she did not agreed. Ha again got you. She agreed and said, finally. You Buffon, I was waiting for this for years. They went for a date at Barback and they enjoyed their time, and when they were going back they finally kissed each other. It lasted for good 5 seconds. They enjoyed it, but it was to be cut short when Yugo had ANBU work and Naruto had to his work. They did not do anything in ANBU headquarters but when they were not wearing their masks. Naruto learned the Dragon Sage mode after a year. He had small dragons under him and his eyes were black and small white dots in them. The issues between Uchiha and the village began to rise in Minato, and the commander tried to warn them, but Fugaku did not agree to the terms. Then Itachi came with an excellent plan that his friend Shisui Uchiha had a Mangekyo Sharingan and that he can cast a very difficult to break genjutsu, and Naruto represented this idea to the council. Danzo tried to object, saying that they can be trusted, but the council outvoted him. Naruto saw this and he started personally guarded Shisui from a distance until the day of the meeting because he don't trust Danzo a bit. The day before the meeting Shisui was attacked and Naruto saw the Root ANBU members attacking Shisui. Then he saw Danzo coming there and he listened. You don't deserve the Sharingan, I will use it wisely. Quote, he was going to plug out Shisui's eye but Naruto stopped him and cut his hand clean off. Danzo started screaming and Naruto said, Danzo Shimura, you tried to kill a Leaf Shinobi and a ANBU which is under my care, what do you have to say about this? Danzo saw the commander and gritted his teeth and said, he don't deserve the Sharingan, I will use it wisely. Uchiha clan cannot be changed, they have to be killed. Commander under his mask was pissed and said, you don't have any right to decide what is their fate. You should have given them a chance, now you have pay for your crimes. Danzo laughed and said, even if you are the commander you can't handle all the Root ANBU alone. Naruto just smirked under his mark and make a wood clone and it touched Shisui and they vanished in an orange flash. They went to Tsunade because Naruto want to confirm if Shisui, and they found a poison in Shisui and Tsunade quickly got to her work. While this was going on, Naruto had started his battle with the Root ANBU. He sliced and diced everywhere, then he jumped back and thought, they are too much, I think it is the best time to do this. Last time I did this it hurt like hell, but this time I will enter Sage mode. Then he entered the Dragon Sage mode and made 2 shadow clones and they started to make the Chidoan. Naruto had accomplished it, he have successfully merged both Chidori and Rasengan. I will call it Chidoan until you give me a better name. Then he rushed at the Root ANBU members and smashed it on a member, and when it smashed it covered the whole area with lighting and killed the members inside the area. It happened because he was in Sage mode, but otherwise it would knock them out. Danzo saw this and gritted his teeth. Abed ordered more of his ANBU to attack while he was fleeing back. Naruto saw this and activated his Rinnegan and did universal pull, and Danzo came flying to Naruto. Naruto created the chakra rods and pinned him down with it. It was taking very bit of chakra from Danzo while Naruto was fighting the Root members. Naruto did his new combination style, Dragon's Roar. It made water, lightning and fire dragon and they merged and attacked the Root members. He saw over half of the Roots were killed, then he saw that he had to finish it fast, then he did the impossible, that he combined the Wood Sage mode and Dragon Sage mode. There was a circle and point inside it. It was at his forehead, then he had 2 dragons under his eyes and there were also 2 lines connecting each other. His eyes were black with white dots in it. Naruto could feel like he is a powerhouse and that he can never run out of chakra. Then he tried to make a normal Rasengan, but it came out as bigger and denser. With this newfound power he rushed at the rest that were left and finished them off. It was total 500 root ANBU members that he killed, and they burned their body themselves as part of the rule they had to follow. He then took Danzo and flashed to the office and threw him to the floor. Minato saw this and said, "Report," in a serious tone, and Naruto nodded and started from the beginning at how Danzo root members attempted to attack Shisui, and then Danzo came and tried to pluck out Shisui's eyes. Then he stopped him and asked why he did this, and he said that Uchiha can't be trusted and some rubbish. Then they fight and he had 500 root ANBU under cover from Hokage. Then he said, "I think Danzo have much more hidden secrets that I think we should know. We should tell Inoichi to read his mind." Minato nodded and Naruto flashed away. Naruto flashed away to Tsunade to check if Shisui is okay. He flashed in and scared Tsunade. "Kid, don't scare me like that." Naruto apologized for that and asked how Shisui is. Tsunade said, "You brought it at a right time. If you were late for even a minute, the poison would have spread and it would be impossible to stop it." Naruto nodded at that information. Shisui recovered after some hours and was shocked to see he was at hospital. Then the memories came back to him and he screamed, "Dan-zi-o-o-o-o-o." Quote. Naruto heard this and entered the room. Shisui saw the commander and bowed. Naruto said, "Whoa, rest, you don't need to bow now." Quote. Shisui nodded and got up and was going to ask what happened after he left, but Naruto said, "I will explain it, but first calm down." Shisui calmed down, then Naruto explained what happened after he left. Shisui was shocked that the commander took 500 shinobis alone and won. Then he understood why this was the youngest commander. Then Naruto said, "Danzo would be handled by Hokage, but I think he will survive the Hokage's wrath. It would be most likely would be done after the meeting with Fugaku. So rest, we need you to be at full health before the meeting, otherwise your genjutsu might not work." Shisui nodded and went to sleep. Naruto flashed away to his home and got down to his boxers and got to his bed and slept. He knows tomorrow would be a hectic day, so he wanted to be prepared. Then the next day he woke up and got in his ANBU gear and went to Hokage office to prepare for the meeting that was being held today. Hokage nodded his head seeing dragon and they continued their preparation. Half an hour later everything was set and Naruto flashed to his office and saw the stacks of paperwork. He cursed it and he understood why his father would always be busy. Naruto groaned and made 4 shadow clones and started his work. Few minutes passed and there was a knock on his door and he allowed to let them in. Imu poked his head out and saw Commander doing paperwork, then he apologizes if he interrupted anything. Naruto said, "No, come in, I might get few minutes off the paperwork." Then he saw his shadow clones stopped. He said, "Not you all, you do your work." They groaned and continued their work. Itachi chuckled a little and got in the room. He thanked the commander for saving his friends. He nodded and said, "It is my duty as a commander to save. But I know you are here only for that. Am I correct?" Itachi nodded and said, "Indeed, actually it is a bad news. I have learned that Fugaku Uchiha also have Mangekyo Sharingan, so there is a chance might escape Shisui's genjutsu." Naruto was shocked that Fugaku had Mangekyo but didn't showed it. Naruto nodded at the information and dismissed Itachi. Naruto turned to his shadow clones and said, "You do the work, I am going to talk to Hokage." They nodded and Naruto made a shadow clone replace his real self. Then he flashed away to the Hokage's office. He entered without knocking and saw Minato making out with Kushina. As soon as he saw that, he turned 180. Minato saw the commander and blushed and told Kushina that somebody was there. She blushed and moved aside. Minato cleared his throat and asked, "May I ask you, why did you just barged in?" Naruto turned around and saw they were separated, then he cleared his throat. He said, "I didn't expected you to make out in the office. Anyways, we got a bad news from ANBU." This got Minato's full attention. Naruto was going to begin but stopped when he remembered Kushina was here. He glanced at her, then at Minato. He understood what commander is saying and he asked Kushina to leave. Kushina pouted and left and said she would be waiting. Naruto continued, "Imu got the bad news that Fugaku have Mangekyo Sharingan." Minato was shocked that Fugaku had Mangekyo but let Naruto continue. "Imu is saying that there might be a chance that Fugaku broke out of the genjutsu. So we have to make a plan B if he does get out." Minato nodded and they make it a plan. Time skip to the meeting. The meeting started and there was Fugaku and the elders, Minato, Naruto, Itachi and Shisui. Minato started the conversation and tried to negotiate with Fugaku, but he can clearly see that it was doing nothing. Then Minato did signal to Shisui to do the plan. Shisui activated his Mangekyo and did the Koto Amatsukami. As they expected, all the elders was in the Genjutsu and Fugaku activated Hus Mangekyo and broke out. As soon as he got out of the Genjutsu, Naruto came behind him and he had his Rinnegan activated and he took out the soul of Fugaku, hence killing him. Itachi and Shisui was shocked that Fugaku was killed. Itachi awakened his Mangekyo and he had tears of blood. Naruto said to Shisui, "Plant the memories that Makoto would be the new clan leader and erase anything for Ku. They will say Fugaku was unfit for the clan position." Shisui nodded and did the same thing that Naruto told. Naruto looked at the Itachi and said, "There was no other way." Itachi nodded his head. Minato looked at them and said, "This is a SS rank secret, you can't reveal anything what happened in this room. If you do, then your punishment would be death. Is that understood? You can say this to Makoto, she have the right to know." They nodded. Naruto made wood clone and he transformed to Fugaku. They left the room as nothing have happened in the room. Fugaku, Naruto, went to home, Itachi's home. Then Makoto called them for dinner and they sat down and started eating and Fugaku nodded his head and Itachi nodded and said, "Mother, me and father want to talk to you." Makoto was confused, why did they want to talk to her and why didn't Fugaku said anything. She shrugged and they finished their dinner and they went to the room and she sat down and Itachi started, "Mother, as you know we were trying to do coup against the village." Makoto was not liking where this was going but let her son continue and she nodded. "We had a meeting to negotiate but the clan elders and father didn't agree, so we had to use force to stop." Itachi stopped to see how his Methet would react. Makoto looked shocked that they had to use force. Itachi continued to tell what happened today at the meeting and Fugaku transformed back to Naruto. Makoto began to cry because her husband had to die but she controlled her emotions. Naruto said, "I am sorry for your loss. I honestly can't feel what you are going through but we had no other chance." She nodded. "Sorry again, but you had to carry more burden because you have be the clan head. Until Itachi is 18 inches." Makoto nodded while sobbing a little. Then the whole Uchiha clan was assembled by the clan leaders and they announced the new leader and said that Fugaku was unfit for leadership and that he have committed suicide last night. They all were shocked at the sudden news that they received. Sasuke began to cry a lot and his Sharingan activated. Everything went smoothly after that. The Uchiha clan had a funeral for Fugaku and they had to move on their life. Makoto now took the seat of clan head and Itachi had his girlfriend Izumi. Naruto teased him every now and then about that. Time skip 5 years. Naruto and Yugo grew closer and did that. Naruto also gave his commander position to Tenzo and retired from ANBU and Yugo became a ANBU captain. Itachi also retired after Izumi and his mother bugging him constantly. Naruto also forgave his family and had good relationships with his siblings. Naruto would also sometimes train Sasuke a bit. Naruto was now elite Jonin. He was summoned in the Hokage Tower and he don't the reason. He saw Minato and other Jonins there. He understood now what was going on. Minato came there and said, "You all must know why you are here, but even if you don't know, you are being assigned to." That's all for now. If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments.